The moment Emma Walker realized her marriage was changing did not come with shouting or tears. It came with silence. It's the kind that fills a room even when someone is standing right beside you. On a quiet morning in Portland, Oregon, Emma stood at her kitchen sink, coffee growing cold, and felt a truth settle in her chest. Something important was slipping away, and she did not know when it started. 17 years of marriage had taught her routine. Daniel woke before her, checked his phone, kissed her forehead, and left for work. It had always felt steady, safe, but lately the kiss felt lighter, shorter, like a habit instead of a promise. Emma noticed these things the way people notice, whether changes slowly, with doubt. Hoping they were wrong, Daniel Walker was not acting guilty. That was what confused her most. He still came home on time, still asked about her day, still helped with dinner. But his eyes often drifted elsewhere, as if he was listening to a voice Emma could not hear. When she spoke, he listened, but not fully. His mind felt divided. One evening, Daniel laughed softly while looking at his phone. It was not loud or playful. It's just a quiet smile. Emma looked up from the couch and felt her stomach tighten. She asked who it was, keeping her tone casual. Daniel answered without hesitation. He said it was someone from work. A simple message. Nothing important. Emma nodded. She trusted him. Or at least, she trusted the man she believed he still was. But trust, she was learning, can fade without breaking. Daniel had not planned for his life to change. He believed himself to be a good man, a loyal husband. That belief mattered to him. When he met Rachel Miller, he did not think of danger. He thought of conversation, of relief, of being seen. Rachel worked with a local community outreach program. They met during a volunteer meeting downtown. Daniel admired her calm voice and thoughtful questions. She was divorced, living alone, raising a teenage daughter who stayed with her father during the school year. Rachel did not flirt. She did not try to impress. She listened. At first, their talks were short and polite, about schedules, about events, about shared responsibility. Then, one afternoon, while waiting for others to arrive, they spoke about books, then about life, then about disappointment. The conversation felt easy, too easy. Daniel told himself it was harmless. He was allowed to talk, allowed to enjoy conversation. He did not touch Rachel. He did not lie. He'd simply kept apart. Of himself quiet, Rachel noticed it too. The way Daniel spoke carefully. The way he seemed grateful just to be heard. She told herself she was only being kind. She was not looking for romance. She had learned what heartbreak cost. Still, when Daniel suggested coffee to talk more about a project, she agreed. The cafe was small and warm, a place people went to. Think? They talked for an hour. Then two, no lines were crossed, but something shifted. They left feeling lighter, and that feeling stayed. Back at home, Emma felt the distance grow. Daniel still sat beside her, but it felt like sitting next to a memory. She asked him once if he was happy. He smiled and said yes. He said life was just busy, stressful. Normal. Emma wanted to believe him. She told herself marriage changed with time, that comfort replaced passion, that quiet was not danger. But late at night, when Daniel slept beside her, she stared at the ceiling and wondered why she felt alone. Days passed quickly, too quickly. Daniel began stopping at the cafe once, or twice a week, always during the day, always with reason. He told Emma he had meetings, extra work. She did not question him. She trusted the shape of their life more than the details. Rachel noticed Daniel growing more open. He spoke about his youth, his regrets, the man he once hoped to be, she shared. Her own disappointments, dreams that had faded. Marriage that ended not with anger, but exhaustion. Their words filled something empty in both of them. They did not call it love. They did not call it anything. Emma noticed Daniel changing small habits. He dressed a little sharper. He checked his phone more often. He seemed thoughtful at dinner. as if replaying conversations she was not part of. She tried to reconnect, suggested trips, walks, long talks. Daniel agreed, but the spark felt forced. One night, Emma reached for Daniel's hand while watching television. He held it, but his grip felt distracted. She pulled away slowly, unsure why her eyes burned. The next morning, Emma found a receipt in Daniel's jacket while doing laundry. It was not hidden, just folded in the pocket. A cafe downtown, a place she had never visited with him. The date was recent. Her heart beat faster, but her mind stayed calm. She told herself it meant nothing. People buy coffee every day. Still, she placed the receipt on the table and stared at it longer than she meant to. Daniel came home that evening tired, but calm. Emma watched him closely. She wanted him to confess, to explain, to notice the fear in her eyes. But he smiled, kissed her cheek, and asked what was for dinner. She said nothing. The silence grew heavier. Emma felt trapped between trust and instinct. She did not want to become suspicious. She did not want to lose herself to doubt. But something inside her had already shifted. The ground beneath her marriage no longer felt solid. Rachel began feeling uneasy too. She noticed how much she looked forward to seeing Daniel. How his absence felt loud. She reminded herself he was married. That boundaries mattered even when no rules were spoken. She considered pulling away, ending the conversations. But the connection felt rare, safe, and she had learned that life does not always offer second chances. Daniel knew something was wrong. He felt it when he looked at Emma and could not meet her eyes. Told himself he would fix it, that he would stop seeing Rachel, that he would return fully to his marriage. But he delayed. Just one more coffee, one more conversation, one more moment of ease. And delay has a cost. On a gray afternoon, Emma stood at her window and watched rain fall over the city. She thought about the woman she had been when she married. Daniel, confident, hopeful, certain. She wondered when certainty had become something fragile. That evening, she made a decision. Not out of anger, not out of jealousy, out of self-respect. She would stop ignoring the feeling in her chest. She would pay attention. Daniel texted Rachel that night. It's just a simple message, asking if they could talk the next day. Rachel stared at her phone, her heart uneasy. She knew this story was reaching a turning point, whether she wanted it to or not. Emma placed the cafe receipt in her purse before bed. She did not know what she would do with it yet. But she knew one thing clearly. Silence had already done enough damage, and somewhere between a marriage that looked perfect and a connection that felt dangerous. The truth was waiting to be seen. Emma did not cry when she followed Daniel that afternoon. Her hands were steady on the steering wheel, her breath calm, her mind sharp in a way it had not been for months. Something inside her had already accepted the truth. She just needed to see it with her own eyes. Daniel parked near the cafe downtown, the same one on the receipt. Emma stopped across the street. Through the wide glass window, she saw him sitting at a small table. Then she saw Rachel walk in. They smiled, not big smiles, but familiar ones. It's the kind people share when they feel safe together. They did not touch, they did not rush. Leaned in and spoke quietly. That was enough. Emma felt a strange clarity. This was not a sudden mistake. This was a choice made slowly, day by day, moment by moment. She understood then that betrayal does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it comes wrapped in calm words and gentle looks. Daniel looked up and saw her. For a second, the world stopped. His face drained of color. Rachel turned and followed his gaze. She understood instantly. Emma did not wave. Fran, she simply met Daniel's eyes, nodded once, and walked away. That night, the house felt different, quieter, honest. Daniel came home early. He did not pretend. He did not hide. He sat across from Emma at the kitchen table, hands folded, eyes tired. I didn't plan this, he said. Emma listened. She did not interrupt. He told her about Rachel, about the conversations, about how he felt hurt again. He admitted he had crossed a line, even if it was not visible to others. He admitted he had failed to protect their marriage. Emma asked one question. Why didn't you talk to me? Daniel had no answer that mattered. Rachel sent a message. Later that night, it was short. She apologized. She said she was stepping away. She meant it. She knew what it felt like to be on the other side of silence. She would not stay where she did not belong. The next days moved quickly. Emma and Daniel talked more honestly than they had in years, not about blame, but about truth. About how they had grown apart without noticing. About how comfort had replaced care. Daniel wanted to fix things. He promised change, promised effort. Emma listened carefully. She did not rush her decision. She took walks alone. She spoke with friends. She sat in silence and asked herself what she wanted, not what she feared. She realized something important. Love alone was not enough. Trust needed attention. Respect needed action. And she no longer wanted to beg for presence. A week later, Emma told Daniel she needed space. Not as punishment, as protection. Daniel moved into a small apartment nearby. He agreed to counseling. He waited. He hoped. Rachel stopped going to the cafe. She focused on her work, on her daughter. She carried guilt, but also relief. She had learned that being needed is not the same as being chosen. Time passed. Emma felt stronger, lighter. She saw her marriage clearly now, without fear shaping her view. Daniel was kind. He was not cruel, but he had been absent when it mattered. Most, they met again after a month. They talked like adults who respected each other. Emma told him she was letting go, not because she hated him, but because she loved herself enough to choose peace. Daniel accepted it quietly. He knew some mistakes cannot be undone, even with regret. The divorce was calm, no anger, no fights. Just sadness handled with care. Friends were surprised. Neighbors whispered. Emma did not mind. She knew her truth. One evening, months later, Emma walked along the river as the sun set over Portland. The air felt clean. Her thoughts were steady. She was not healed completely, but she was awake. She understood now that silence is not safety and comfort without. Care can quietly break a heart. Across the city, Daniel sat alone, learning what it meant to listen to himself without distraction. He carried regret, but also growth. He would not repeat the same mistake again. Rachel watched her daughter laugh at the dinner table and felt grateful for the lesson, even if it came with pain. This was not a story about villains. It was a story about choices. About how love needs honesty to survive. And about how sometimes walking away is the bravest form of respect. The warning was never about infidelity alone. It was about ignoring the quiet moments when truth asks to be heard.